Ryan Donato is back with the Chicago Blackhawks, 4 years, $16 million. Join Mario and I as we break it down next on the CHGO Blackhawks Emergency Podcast. Welcome to this emergency edition of the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Ryan Donato has been extended by the Chicago Blackhawks, 4 years, $16 million. Number 8 is going nowhere this summer. So the first domino to fall in the Blackhawks offseason has fallen. Ryan Donato is back. Mario, your immediate reactions.
My immediate reaction is this is a perfect deal. This is the security that Donato wanted at 4 years. It's a number that makes sense for the Blackhawks. It's a raise for Donato as well. I think this is perfect. This is exactly what we were hoping for Ryan Donato. We were talking as the season ended, and there were conversations about what he could get in free agency, and even just today on the show where we were joined by Adam Hogue. You were saying like $6 million would be the ceiling that you would go to. I had it at about 5.5 that I would be comfortable with. And we get it at 4 years, $4 million, like right on the dot of like what sounded the most reasonable. And, Donato doesn't go to free agency. The Blackhawks keep him around, and it's a great number, a good term for a guy that had a career year and, was an example to the young guys in the room of what they organization wants guys to play like, the kind of dedication they have. So this is a perfect deal.
Yeah, it's really great. And, Donato, like you mentioned, gets the extra year of security he wanted. It just felt like kind of his time was going by, that it might be, maybe he's holding out for more. Maybe he's going to test free agency and see what happens. But he is a guy who said all along that he wants to be here. I think it was just a bit surprising that after he wasn't traded, it wasn't done right away. So I think we started thinking, maybe this isn't going to happen. It happens. I mean, and here's the thing. 4-year deal, fine. Maybe it's another year than Kyle Davidson truly wanted to give. But what's great about Donato is, and even if he's not a 31-goal, 62-point guy again next season, he makes up for it in the versatility of playing center or wing, can play on all 4 lines, can penalty kill, be on the power play. Like, he has so much value aside from what he does on the score sheet. And look, if he's anywhere close to what he was this year, then it's a bargain deal. So if he has 50 points next year, you're like, damn, that is a very solid deal for Ryan Donato at $4 million, especially when we're going to see this summer what some of these free agents are going to get. This is a really tidy piece of work for Kyle Davidson. And like you mentioned too, it's a culture piece, and Nice 14 says it in the chat as well. Like, this is the kind of thing, like, this is the kind of guy you want around a young team, who is going to do everything right on the ice, going to work hard at practice. And, like, let's not undersell the fact that Ryan Donato last offseason was challenged to get faster. And he went out and did it, put the work in, and it made a huge difference in his performance. And that's something that young guys on the team can see from him as well. So it's a great deal. I don't know how anyone could have any sort of negative feeling about it at all. You got a really great culture piece, a really solid hockey player for a great, great deal.
Yeah, I think you go back to how he talked about being in Chicago as the season kind of was coming to a close, and knowing that he needed a new deal, and he hit the benchmarks of wanting to be in this organization, be part of what they were building, and be in that role of kind of like being that locker room mentor. And you heard from Frank Nazar and Colton Dock a number of times, Landon Slaggert as well, like what they took from being around Donato, and seeing the work ethic he put in on and off the ice to be the kind of player he is. And all those kinds of guys that are coming up, the young guys, they can all take those traits from him and be able to implement that into their game, the versatility, the hard work, the selflessness, really. I mean, you could look at a guy who's having a career year, putting up 30 goals and 60 points, and at points of this season, he was the third and fourth line. Even when he was hot, he was playing those
Healthy scratch to start the season.
yeah, he wasn't a guy that, you expected that to come this season, but when he was, even those times that he was put in those depth roles, he still went out and did the exact same thing he was doing, whether he was on the top line with Bedard or not. So I mean, that's one of those things that, it's a character thing. So to get him in, and yeah, I think the original deal that was reported was 3 years by 4. So the extra year, fine. I'm not worried about that. At, with Donato, that 4th year, he's 33. That's not, falling off a cliff time or anything like that. I think when you have a guy that, finds a new level in his game, in his career at 28, 29 years old, that gives me a little bit of an idea that, like, maybe that step up can last for 2, 3, hopefully 4 years, rather than if a guy peaks at 26 and then starts kind of coming down. Sometimes guys do that, or if they're peaking in their 30s, then you get a little worried about that. But at $4 million for 4 years, with the salary cap going up, that 3rd and 4th year, if you have Ryan Donato at $4 million, like, that's what a depth guy is going to cost anyways. If not, might be a really good bargain. And that's if Donato plays a depth role. Who knows where he's going to play? The versatility that he brings allows him to play, flexible positions within the lineup, and then, depends on how the team is built over the next few years. But yeah, I think this just comes in at the right amount of years, the right amount of money, and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about how are you going to replace it going into the heat of the draft, draft week, going into free agency. Like, you take this off of the checklist, and it kind of helps put some pieces of the puzzle of the off season into place before you get to those crunch times.
Here's a quote from Kyle Davidson from the press release. Quote, Ryan brings energy and competes hard every game, which has been a huge asset to our team over the last 2 seasons. He's been a crucial part of our offense, and we're excited for Ryan to continue to make a difference in our lineup for the next 4 years. Yeah, it's a really good deal. And the other thing too, like, not to get too far ahead, but if he's a 20-20 guy, right? Let's say that's what he does for the next 3-4 years. If you feel like you've got these kids ready to take his spot, that's a real nice deadline ad for somebody, right? And you can get something for him at that point too. I know we're years away from that, but like, when it's that friendly of a cap deal, and it's this kind of a personality and this kind of a player, they've got a lot of value in that regard too. So I haven't seen anything about a no movement clause or anything like that. That would sort of surprise me. Maybe there's like a 10-team no trade list or whatever it might be. No idea about that yet. But look, he's here for now. He certainly makes the team better, and it's just one fewer hole that Davidson has to fill this offseason.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of lower level trade protection, movement protection, because that was probably one of the sticking points with Donato's situation, is that he wanted some security. So he gets it in the 4 years, that's for sure. I wonder if, yeah, like you said, like, maybe there's in the 3rd year of the deal, a 10-team no trade or something like that is part of it. But who knows? Maybe it's not. We'll have to see as the details come out. But yeah, I mean, I just think, like, I can't, like I said at the beginning, like, I can't think of a better deal that Donato could have had for both himself and the Blackhawks. And it's also like, he could have, I think he could have easily gotten 5.5, 6 out on the open market, probably with the same kind of length too. So I think not only is this like a really good deal for him, it's a good deal, for the organization, but it's a good show that someone from within the organization sees what's being done and is probably taking a little bit off of what he could have earned to stick around and see it through. So I think, as far as maybe outside perspectives of the organization, having a guy like Ryan Donato who could have hit free agency, could have had more money, maybe on a team that was likely to contend more immediately, for him to say, no, I'm gonna stick around here. Like that's kind of a plus for the Blackhawks externally.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think too, like maybe it's an acknowledgement from Donato that like, hey, you took a chance on me after how many teams I've been on here. You brought me in because you thought I had something more than I was showing, and I proved to you that I had it. So let's reward each other's loyalty, and it's really solid move. I want to mention too, before we wrap up the emergency pod, again, this will be a major topic tomorrow at 2. All week we're raising money for Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. Raised almost $900 during our 2:00 show. So if you're on YouTube right now, you can see that little donate button on the bottom. It's a kind of hand holding heart near the chat. You want to click that, click in a few bucks. How about $8 donations in honor of the new Ryan Donato contract, or $16 million donations? We'll take those too. Or if you want to do a $4 million donation 4 times, however you want to do it,
Sure.
We'll take it to help the great people at Big Brothers Big Sisters of America. So good stuff. Yeah, I just it's an interesting point, because I do think, like, as you look around the league and you're trying to see how guys feel about maybe coming here via trade, via free agency, whatever it might be, little things like this, like, they do matter, and players do notice that stuff and say, all right, like, this is a guy who had a big year, had probably some free agent opportunities elsewhere, and decided to stay. I'm going to pick up the phone and talk to Ryan Donato and see what he thinks of Chicago and why he decided to do what he did. And, you got Nick Foligno, who's fully committed here, and the players, the young players, see the commitment too of, look, Ryan Donato could have said, thanks for the opportunity, thanks for the top 6 minutes, I'm going to go now and try to make as much money as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, like you said, Mario sees something here that he wants to be part of. So it's a really good, it's a good day for the Blackhawks, good day for Kyle Davidson. And, as the draft approaches, we're 9 days away from the NHL draft. We'll see how this roster takes shape from there, and then July 1st, but this is a really good start.
Yeah, I think, and this is perfect for us to dig into more tomorrow on the show. But, I wonder, not to say that I don't hope that this is the biggest thing that Kyle Davidson does this offseason,
No.
as far as team building goes. But I think getting Donato back does alter some of the urgency, I would say, at least for me personally, in the mindset of Hawks should be in on Ehlers or Besser or, so on and so forth. Getting Donato kind of pulls that back a little bit for me, because it's just like, okay, well, you don't have to replace him now and then add on to it. Like, that's taking that piece of the puzzle and putting it back in its place. So you don't have to necessarily, you still should try and improve your team as much as you can. But it doesn't necessarily feel like as urgent of a need, because now you have Donato back in place. So I don't know. I want to sit on that a little bit more, but it does feel like that kind of having Donato kind of alters what the path through this summer is probably going to look like.
Yep, I agree. Well, let's sit on that for 21 hours and bring it back tomorrow with 2, digging into more of what the Donato deal means. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on this emergency podcast. Whenever news breaks, we jump in and do these things, whether we're in the car, whether we just got home. We got a party going on upstairs that I'm hearing ice bags being smashed on the floor, so things are getting underway. So we will always jump on when news warrants. So that's what we do here for you at CHGO Sports and at CHGO Blackhawks. One more reminder, if you want to give a few bucks to Big Brothers Big Sisters, hit that donate button on the bottom of the chat. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow at 2:00 right here on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.